Good Monday morning or afternoon, depending on what time you get to watch this. It's John Pate, real quick. I was on the radio this morning on KTLO with Sheriff Montgomery and Henry Campfield, and we were answering questions. We were told the questions were sent in to listeners prior to the show. So we had no idea, as far as me and Mr. Campfield had no idea what the questions would be when we got there. They got the mic set up, and it went pretty good. I will say Sheriff Montgomery, he is definitely a politician. He had a bunch of stuff written out that he read off, where me and Mr. Campfield, we did it from the hip. Sheriff Montgomery had a bunch written out about himself and his accomplishments. Now, I typed everything out on my computer screen so that I wasn't ad-libbing and stumbling all over myself. I went through and pulled some of the things that were said this morning in case you missed the radio show, and wanted to address them. Now, I couldn't remember everything that Mr. Montgomery said, so if I'm missing something, by all means, shoot me an email. I did notice that the sheriff had some real good answers that made himself look really good. He also took some of my ideas and used them as his own. I thought that was kind of comical. At first, I was like, why now are you addressing these issues? And then it dawned on me, well, he's done admitted that he's worried about this election. He's made that statement to several people. I really wasn't appreciative that he took some of my ideas and tried to make it sound like his own. I have videos showing that I addressed these issues way prior to him making any statements this morning or any other time. So I'm going to address some of those statements that he made this morning. I'm not always the best at coming up with quick answers just right off the top of my head because, again, I'm not a politician, okay? I was a police officer. I'm an investigator. Do I have all the answers? Not even close. But if I don't know the answers, I will find out the answers. And I do commend him for setting me straight, which really kind of made himself look bad. But that's all right. And keep in mind that these are in no particular order. He boasted about his state-of-the-art website. His website's just like every other agency's website. Now, was he the first to make a website listing everything that's on there? I don't know. I don't think anyone can say yes. I do know that Boone County, Marion County, and every other county in this state has pretty much the same website. It's pretty much all of them the same. Okay. Did he come up with designing a web page? No, not at all. He spoke about how he got laws passed on sex offender registry and made it legal to have it posted on the website. Now, I can't say for sure if that's true or not. Maybe it is. But what has he done lately? This is all old news. He's bringing up old stuff that he did in the past to try to make himself look good for you all today. He has some die-hard supporters. And hey, look, some of us do. And that's great. He goes to church with these people. They like him. He's a likable politician. But what has he done for us lately? He said that they already work. I addressed the issue of addicts being in the jail. And one of the first things he said today was they already work closely with the drug users and care center ministries as well as changes. Both places help make a difference. This is a fact. They do. But I know for a fact that he doesn't allow counselors into the jail to speak to the inmates. I have been approached by counselors that have tried to get in there to work with the inmates out of the goodness of their heart. And they have all been rejected. And I'm pretty sure that if we called changes and spoke to them, they would tell you the same thing. He don't let them into the jail. Seriously? He really doesn't care about the inmates. Now, please don't misunderstand. I'm not some bleeding heart that's, oh, poor criminals. If you're a criminal, you're a criminal. You deserve to be in jail. The only thing that I'm concerned with is the ramifications of after someone's arrested for narcotics possession and has an addiction problem, that turning them back out into society without some direction, they don't have any direction on which way to go or where to turn, because in actuality, most of them have hit rock bottom or pretty close to it. Their families turned their backs on them. they don't have anywhere else to go. So what are they going to do? As soon as they're released from jail, they're going right back to what they know. They're going back to their circle of friends, which means they're going to be right back into drugs again. They have to want to get clean and sober first and foremost. And if they don't, then it is a revolving door. So therefore, we should push for stiffer penalties for these continuous people that keep getting arrested and keep getting put back in jail. Oh goodness. He doesn't work closely with anybody. He never has. He called me out on how many reserve deputies they have. He asked me how many I thought he had. I said last I was told was 96. Now, he straight up told me I should fact check that first, because he only has 5 reserve deputies. Now, I did check, and I found out that they are allowed 1 reserve deputy per 2 full-time deputies that they have. Now, I just got done emailing the state to find out how many full-time certified deputies the Baxter County Sheriff's Office has. So I don't have that number yet, but I can guarantee you they have more than 10. So why do they only have 5 reserve deputies? That speaks volumes, in my opinion, towards the poor management system that they have and why they're not doing the best they can to help the citizens of the county. He boasted about a large drug arrest that they made with the help of the U.S. Marshals. I read the article, and the news said the Sheriff's Department assisted the U.S. Marshals, not the other way around. The Marshals were looking for 2 fugitives, located them in Baxter County, which, of course, they had to let the Sheriff's Department know what they were doing, and they got the assistance from the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff had no clue to the arrest or the people that the Marshals were looking for or even the drugs. It was just a bonus, so he gets to brag about it. It ain't like he did the work or his deputies did the work. Now, I'll get to his deputies in just a minute. I just think it's funny he's taking credit for that, when even the KTLO News reported that it was the Marshals, not him. It said with the help of the Baxter County Sheriff's Office, not the Sheriff's Office called the Marshals for help. The sheriff said there is no good old boy system in this county. I have to call BS on that. There has always been a good old boy system here. Anybody that believes there's not has been living under a rock. The people in power and they have the money, they get justice, while the regular person, the regular citizens, are ignored. If you don't believe me, think of one of the wealthiest people in the county. If his tractor was stolen and a regular old farmer's tractor was stolen, whose tractor do you think they're going to look for the hardest? Yours or the man with the money that backs the sheriff? It don't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. I think it's hilarious. He said there's no good old boy system here. Okay. The sheriff says they have drug officers in their department. Really? If so, then why do they have the lowest felony drug arrest rate in the county? The small town of Gassville has almost 3 times as many felony drug arrests than the sheriff's department. The city of Gassville has 4 officers. That's including the chief. And they got a town of 2,500 people. There are approximately 42,000 people in Baxter County. And yet, the little town of Gassville's making 3 times as many felony drug arrests as the entire sheriff's department. Yeah, he didn't address this issue until I got on my podium and started talking about it. But he did this morning on the radio. Sheriff made no mention, well, nobody asked either, but he didn't make any mention of the high turnover rate under his command either. A 60% turnover rate in the past 3 years, there's a problem. Walmart has less of a I'm not going to say that, but anyway. I was asked twice about firing everyone or anyone that's at the sheriff's office. Now, people, please, use your heads. I can't just walk in and fire people, okay? I can set a standard that I expect people to live up to. I do believe there are people that have been there way too long that bring nothing to the table. I know at least one deputy that's been there for 30 plus years. He's been moved around from position to position. What does he bring to the table? Would I fire him? Not necessarily. Not really looking to fire anybody. These people have committed their lives to helping others and have taken an oath to protect the citizens of this county. Does that mean I'm going to walk in and fire them? No. I think that some of them need to reapply and be reevaluated to see where they fit and where they belong. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm just going to walk in and say, you're fired. I can't do that. Okay, nobody can do that. Here's an example for you. This is an example of bad management decisions made by a lot of the deputies that hold positions there. I can even post some of them. I'm a big supporter of the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Okay. With that said, I believe we all have our First Amendment right, and we should be able to say what we want when we want. But because of the positions that these men and women in law enforcement hold, they should set an example that reflects the values, ethics, and the integrity of the office and the position that they hold. They should set an example that we would want to follow. Not posting half-nude photos of themselves on social media or dating inmates, especially inmates that are in and out of jail. I can actually post you photos of one such female that's no longer working at the sheriff's office. She was fired, but not because of her relationship or her social media, but for other reasons. One of their female jailers actually did this exact same thing. Now, the inmate even has her face tattooed on his chest. I got pictures of it. It's hilarious. It's sad, but the fact that female jailer was allowed to carry on a relationship with an inmate that has her picture tattooed on his chest. Anyway, I won't get into that. I just think the sheriff's office should hold people to a higher standard. What if a deputy showed up to your house and you had seen half-nude photos of him or her on social media? What kind of respect does that command? What does that say about the people that work under the sheriff? Now, I'm not saying we need to, tell the people that work at the sheriff's office, hey, you can't post this or you shouldn't post that, because they have the right under the First Amendment. But I do believe that the people that are supposed to be representing the citizens of this county should be held to a higher standard. Now, that's just how I was brought up. That's how I was raised. If you disagree with me, that's obviously your right. But I think that's something that needs to be looked at as far as the staff goes. Most law enforcement officers keep their social media private or is under an alias, or they use their wives or something like that. They don't post stuff about themselves. Now, I was asked this question, there's obviously some misconception on my stance on the use of medical marijuana. I said I would take a hard stance on drugs, not marijuana. Okay, let me clarify something. Yes, if you don't have your medical marijuana card and you don't have your medical marijuana card, and you're not supposed to have marijuana. But there's this thing called officer's discretion, just like prosecutorial discretion. Okay, if you encounter a situation as a deputy where somebody is using marijuana or has marijuana and doesn't have a card, it's up to the officer how to handle it. Let's say you catch a teen with some weed that he stole from his grandparents or something. Are you going to run his life by locking him up? That's entirely up to the officer. This could be a good kid, not a trouble kid, just experimenting with marijuana. It's everywhere nowadays. Does that mean I'm going to tell my deputies not to arrest him? No. I'll take an oath to uphold the laws of the state. So I can't tell them not to arrest them. I can tell them to use their own discretion When I was on patrol, if I found the teenager out smoking weed, I called their parents. I didn't even write them a ticket. Why? Because I didn't have to lock them up. I didn't have to ruin their life. 18, 19-year-old kid. It was more fun to watch the parents whip them in the parking lot or on the side of the road, or I shouldn't say whip them, but chew them out. I'm pretty sure I know one boy got his butt tore up. I had to tell his dad, oh, wait, you're going to have to stop till I get out of here. His dad was so mad. I believe a lot of times parents can deal with that stuff a lot better than the legal system can. Now, all that starts at home. Let's say a deputy pulls somebody over and finds a joint in the car, and his grandmother he was carrying to the doctor had one fall out of her bag. You're going to arrest him for it? Write him a ticket. Make grandma come to court and say, oh, it's mine. Here's my card. It was my fault. You know, we're looking at marijuana nowadays like it's okay for everybody to do it. Is it okay for them to do it? No, it's not. But the fact that it's not so mainstream that it should be accessible to everyone. You know, alcohol is, you know, pretty much available to anybody over the age of 21. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that some particular point in my lifetime, marijuana will be legal for recreational use. Until that time, the laws have to be upheld. But at the same time, there's this thing called officer's discretion. I've locked up attorneys for DWI. Every walks of life. I don't care. Okay, if you're wrong, you're wrong. But that was my decision. That was the situation at the time. That was officer's discretion. If you find the deputy that wants to go out and find somebody weed and he wants to write him a ticket or whatever, okay. If that's all you got, simple possession, write him a ticket. You know, you might be taking money out of somebody's pocket that desperately needs it, and the marijuana might not have even been theirs, but again, that's your discretion as a deputy to make the right decisions. It's called compassion. You cannot have good law enforcement anywhere without compassion for its citizens. Now, that's just a fact. Couple more things and I'll leave you alone. Regardless of whom you support, Sheriff Montgomery's been in office a long time. And he boasted this morning about his accomplishments. He might have had a dozen, if that, of accomplishments. But what has he done lately? Drug arrests are down. Crime is at an all-time high. And it's getting worse. He's had 17 years to improve this county, but he hasn't. There's always been selective law enforcement under his watch. And I will give it up to him. He's a great politician. He has all the money for this campaign, but he is worried. He's worried because he knows people are starting to see him for who he really is, and they understand it's time for change. Now, I'm not a politician. I was a police officer, I'm an investigator, and I'm a business owner. Was Trump a politician? People hated the fact that he wasn't a politician. I'm not a politician. He was a businessman. I run a business. I manage people. I investigate things. What people don't like about me is that I won't tell you what you want to hear. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. I'm going to tell you the truth. If you like it, great. If you don't, I'm sorry. Now, I'm going to tell you it like it is. And if you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, then I'll tell you I don't know. If it's an important question, if you really need to know, I'll find out. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tap dance around it. How many people have actually asked the sheriff a question that he didn't know and watch him sit there and fumble and think and stumble and shuffle papers and try to figure it out, or refuse to see you because he didn't have an answer to your question? He said he believes in transparency. Really? Since when? You didn't say anything to the paper about your lawsuit. I had to bring that to light. So he's gone down the list of stuff, or somebody that works for him has gone down the list of stuff on my videos, and he's addressing them. And some of them, he's making them sound like his ideas. It's a little too late, Mr. Montgomery. It's time for some change, and the people are sick and tired of the same old rhetoric coming out of your mouth. So, with that said, I hope I get your vote. Remember, early voting is coming up here next week. And by May 25th, we'll know who our new sheriff is. So tell your friends, share this video. Have a great week, and I hope to see you at the polls. Take care, and bye-bye.